I'm co-host James Ash.
And I'm co-host Phil Scaife.
Welcome to the Business Lockdown. Welcome to today's episode. Right, today a little bit different. We are reflecting as a team on episodes 0 to 70. To say it's been a journey is an absolute understatement. And today as an audience, you will take away some key points, some real insight into the progress, the tips and tricks, the trials and tribulations, and the success stories of the business lockdown and what it takes to reach over 150,000 people in more than 60 countries worldwide. We have Rob, Jem, Beth, and my good mate and co-host Phil. We're all going to be touching on a range of subjects today, from COVID, pivoting, mental health, flexible working, focus, drive, motivation, to name a few. So, guys, welcome and thank you for joining us today. I am really looking forward to this. Certainly something different and mixing it up in terms of the business lockdown. How are we all doing? Are we still keeping sane in 2021?
Aye. Doing all
It's a
good.
battle, but I think we're just about on the right side of sane.
I think so,
On the right side of it. Oh, Beth's kind of like umming and ahhing. We'll see if we can draw that out of you this episode, Beth. But I mean, let's go straight off. Before we press the record button, Phil dropped in the first question, which was what's your favourite episode? And then everybody started panicking because we have not planned for this episode. The business lockdown, we pride ourselves that it's unedited and unscripted, and the same has applied today. So we are not pretending on any level with today's episode. So that has got to be the first question. What episode stands out? What's your favourite? What stands out, and why? And the floor is open for anybody to go first.
I'm happy to jump in first. It was my question, so it's an easy one because I had the answer in mind as I said it. Episode 1, and the reason being is we've had so many amazing guests, and every episode has got something in it that we've learned, we've taken away, something that we've maybe used at a later date or whatever. There's a nugget somewhere in everything. So it's not even about the guest, even though Simon was brilliant. It was the fact that we took the action, we pressed the record button, and then we finished, we published it, and we got it live. And that feeling, which I think obviously every single person, from your big hitters like your Joe Rogans and your Pat Flynn's and things, they've all had that feeling of episode number 1 and putting it out into the world. And then there's people who might be listening to this right now who have never done a podcast, but just to do episode 1 and just to experience that is, for me, that was amazing. So James, thank you for that, because I know that you pushed me massively to use my thousands and thousands of pounds worth of equipment, which has been sat here gathering dust. As I delayed and procrastinated and pushed it back and back and back. So yeah, absolutely. So mine's episode 1 for that reason.
Well, and I love that, and we know we can both kind of vouch for that. We can share that level of procrastinating for a year, because we did, and we over-egged and kind of thought too much and put too many resources in buying equipment and second-guessing who our audience is, what that looks like, what topics are we going to cover. And if it wasn't for COVID, it was basically we sat down and thought, well, what do we need to do now? We need to pivot, and we need to connect with as many people as possible. And more importantly, we need to connect as many people together as possible. And then it was just like, right, well, we need to start our podcast that we've been messing about and not getting off the ground. And I remember when we made that decision, even then you were like, right, okay, so let's think of the 3 episodes and the topics, and we'll go away and we'll research those, and then we'll bring that back. I was like, no chance, I'm not having that, because that's just another barrier to entry. And we speak with a lot of people now, and it's that the first episode is the most important episode by far, because it gets you off the ground, and then often there's no stopping you. Guys, open the floor to you. What episode stands out to you and why?
Yeah, I'll go. I think for me, I might have said something similar in the last time we did this, but it's still episode 3, I believe, with Gemma Gibson. That just really
number seven was Jem Gibson.
Sorry. But yeah, that was really inspiring to me. I think especially because when that was recorded, we didn't know how long this was going to go on for. We didn't know that in 2021 we'd be in the same situation as we were in March last year when that was recorded. And the things that she's saying about kind of like routine and how to kind of get yourself healthy physically and mentally is something that I've definitely had to work on a lot in the last 10 months. So that one for me would definitely be my favourite still.
I love that. And isn't that great that when people are looking at starting a podcast and their reason why, and that's a huge point, is what is your why? And people have many different reasons. Either they want to make money, they just want to have conversations with people, they want to network, all of that. And actually, it's maybe one of the last things that people don't realise how much you learn. So you think you're sharing value to the audience, and you're sat there as a host and thinking, God, Phil and I will often finish a call, and the guest will then say goodbye to the guest, and me and Phil are just like, our minds are so crazy and overactive, and then we're implementing ideas and being super motivated ourselves. So yeah, that's awesome to hear, and certainly that's something that resonates right through the team and with us as hosts. So love that, Beth. Jem?
For me, it's got to be episode 24 with Paul Spence. I also said this last time we did the same thing. I drew so much strength from throughout the whole of 2020 whilst going through this, of thinking, do you know what? If Paul could get through what he got through and just how awe-inspiring he was, then I can definitely do this. And in the moments that I really struggled, I just thought, no, come on, get a grip, because look at Paul. Look at what Paul did. And it really helped me to really consider and put things into perspective. And he is just, he's incredible. He's so awe-inspiring. It's quite unbelievable. So yeah, definitely episode 24 with Paul for me.
Love that. And just a reminder to our audience, if you haven't picked up that episode, do head to that. Paul Spence, good friend of ours, suffered a brain injury from an unprovoked attack. Nearly lost his life. A long road to recovery, and has since set up a charity, raised hundreds of thousands of pounds, ran marathons around the world, to say the least. He's a bit of a machine, is Paul, and certainly you can take a lot from 2 episodes. He has that much to offer. We rolled that out to 2 episodes, didn't we?
Yeah, but if you remember as well, we gave him the floor, and he told his story, and then we decided we needed a second episode, and even after we recorded that, he was still saying things. It's like, well, why didn't you mention that? Why didn't you mention that? He's got so much value there. Yes. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, good Indeed. One, John.
And Rob?
So my one has actually not been released yet. It's still in the works. So this is episode 71 with Jackson White and Gavin Cook. Now, I've got a slightly different take on this. The reason why I like that episode is because it's 2 people that I've met personally in real life multiple times. And whenever they've been on the podcast, because they've been on the podcast, I think Gavin Cook has been on once, and so
Gav was number 3. Gav was number 3, and then Jackson joined us. Let's just have a look. Number 56. So number 3 and 56.
James, you were coming across like Rain Man there, just knowing all the episodes and the guests, like just off the cuff, the cuff.
Have I given it away now? Yeah, no, look, wait a second. We've got audio listeners on Spotify and SoundCloud. We'll have to edit this out because they can still believe.
They can believers.
Still believe. The believers, yeah. Sorry, Rob.
It's all right. So the reason why I like it is because I know them personally in real life. They're not that well, but whenever they're on screen, it makes me instantly feel more connected to them because I personally know them. And also at the same time, the reason why I think it might be one of my favorite. It's hard to choose because there's so many good episodes, but the reason why it just shows a testament of how far we've gone, that we've managed to get to episode 71 and beyond, because we've got another at least 2 more episodes still coming out in the works. So it just proves a testament that we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, I like that. Your favorite episode is the latest one because it means we're still going. We're still doing it.
Still got a job, yeah.
And I think a lot of that is a testament to the whole team in keeping each other accountable and keeping going. And obviously I haven't been present for the past couple of weeks, and yet you guys have just been like just absolutely smashing it and holding each other accountable and pushing through. And so yeah, I like the way that every favorite episode is the one that's about to be released. We've got at least one more in the tank. We're not done yet.
I like that. And we've been focusing on January on the subject of a new year, a new you, and kind of asking questions or pointing the finger at our audience to ask questions of themselves and getting some real experts on like motivation and drive, focus. To name a few, which has been really great, and something that resonates me with our topic in January, and we've touched on this before, is the fine line between selfishness and self-worth. Selflessness and selfishness, and there's a fine line between that, and we've picked that up from a number of guests before. And when it comes to, there's a couple of guests that really kind of stand out for me, and it's that almost being selfish to be the best for other people. So we cover that a lot, and certainly in January. And when we look at, for me, like Jonathan Leaf and Phil Pond, so episode 33, and Jonathan joined us on a number of other episodes, and Phil Pond was number 51 and joined us for an episode since then. And I think we learned so much from Jonathan Leaf because we worked off a blog of his, so we had like a trunk of work to follow. We still veered from that, but then we brought it back to that kind of like that subject matter and followed that through as a process, and it just felt more structured and more like some more actionable points for our audience. I thought that was really good. And Phil Pond, I felt like I was a full-on journalist. I don't know if it was just because I was in the zone or if it's actually anything to do with Phil, but if you remember, I was like, fine, I was getting to the point where I wouldn't let Phil answer. Like, he'd have a question and I'd purposely jump in because I was so like keen to know, because Phil's just awesome, of course, Phil Pond, and he's got a lot of value to it, and he certainly, I don't think he realizes how good. He's so laid back, but he clearly knows his shit. And I just thought, like, it's when people draw something out of you, that you progress, and we're all learning as a team, from episode 1 to 70. And when we explore within ourselves as we've developed as individuals and as a team, I think that steers us on to the next kind of question: is what would be like a point of success, something like a positive, a bit of a success story from each of you guys over the course of our 70 episode journey as a team, developing a podcast brand, and all the trials and tribulations. So I'll open the floor. Who wants to go first?
I'm happy to dive in and take this one first. Oh, Beth, awesome. No, Beth, you were jumping at the mic there.
I think the biggest success that I've felt really in the last 70 episodes is one that's actually up and coming. So, of course, we've built our own podcast and we've developed that so far, and then we've worked with other people, helping them do their podcasts too. But we have one, and I'm not sure how much I should say about it right now because I want it to be like a big thing when it comes out.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Really special person to help them do their own podcast, and that's just, doing something for business reasons or whatever is amazing, and it's so much fun. But doing it for an extra special reason and knowing that you can like inspire people is just 10 times better. So yeah, that's what's coming out soon that I don't want to say about.
I like that, teasing our audience in with it. Yeah, and I'm sure we can all vouch for that. We're super excited about what's to come. So audience and listeners, viewers, keep your eyes and ears open for that one, soon to be released. Yeah, who's next?
Well, I can follow on from Beth, because one of my biggest sort of positives from this journey, and it's not necessarily about our journey, but we've tooled up and learned in depth into this craft. And then obviously John Borland then joined us as a guest, and then from that, he's just an incredible voice, an incredible the way he just sees things and thinks of things. Obviously got a couple of books under his belt now, and all he needed was a bit of like our help with the podcasting side of things, and just getting that identity together, and just seeing that journey go on. Now, John was always going to be able to do that. He's just incredible, isn't he? But yeah, just to be a small part of that because of what we've done, I think he's just great. Very similar to what you were saying, Beth, to be able to sort of like learn these skills and then be able to offer them to other people in a small way, just to help them with their their message. It was, I'm particularly like listening to John's episodes and following his journey. So.
Yeah, and John joined us on episode 11. So anybody who hasn't checked out, do head over to episode 11 for John Borland. And John is, what is he? He's 33, 34 episodes in now. So he's a seasoned podcasting pro right now, and he's reached in excess of 210,000 people on his podcast. So yeah, pretty incredible. And it's been such a great journey working with John. And anyone who's thinking of starting a podcast, or who already has, or you have a certain company, we would certainly encourage you to, when we talk about when we're coaching people and mentoring people, is reach out to your network, your close network to start, to get off the ground. If you've got any apprehension, you're over questioning what you do and how you do it, reach out to your close network, because in some ways it can be more forgiving, and you've got a bit more flexibility and time to learn your craft and become experts in your field, whatever that may be. So it's been an incredible journey with John for sure. Yeah, awesome, Phil. Anybody else with success stories?
So my success, can I just say, working from home and getting croissant on a
that.
coffee delivered to me while recording. And I
That's a
don't think
win.
that needs editing out.
Love that. Love that.
Thank you.
Who's next?
I can go next.
Yep.
I think one of the biggest successes that we've had personally is the quality of our work. Because when you look at the first few episodes of TBLD, I mean, they're not the best quality of episodes, and you can see a massive progression from that very first episode to now, a jump in quality. And I believe that every single time we get a new client or somebody that we work with in the podcasting industry, we get better and better and better and learn more about this industry, much more. And don't want to give spoiler alerts, but we've got another client that's come in, and I personally believe that this is going to be the best podcast that we've ever done, most definitely. So definitely the improvement of our content and the quality of it, I think it's a big success for us.
Yeah. Rob, touching on that, obviously we've been doing this podcast during a lockdown majority of the time. We've been ducking in and out of tiers and lockdowns and restrictions and things, and so obviously we since we started this, we haven't managed to get together as a full team of 5, but we've had like one meeting of the 4 of us. Obviously, James, you were in Turkey, and there was a moment in that meeting where you said, "Oh yeah, I've just been working on this," and you pulled up a different style of video edit, and it was just like the where you'd come from, where you were heading to, your abilities, the way you were seeing things, the way you were like taking them in and putting your own little slant on it and putting it back out again. That was a real standout moment, and really important as well on our journey. So it absolutely bang on with like the way we're all evolving as individuals and collectively as a team. I just remember sitting in that meeting and just been absolutely blown away by the new version of the video editing that you'd brought to us. So yeah, bang on.
Yeah, awesome. That was absolutely. I can certainly vouch for that. And it was. And would you say, Phil? It's yes, the content and the quality was awesome, but it was the fact that you'd kind of just gone off and off your own back and thought, have with your creative head on and just come up with that and thought, I've got something to show you guys. It wasn't a project that was drilled in. There was no time restraints and any pressure and all of that. And you just go, I've just been working on this. That itself was just like, what? It was like, that was awesome.
Yeah, and as a rule, whenever we're speaking to business owners, one of the things we always say is there's always someone further ahead, further down the journey than you. And they're easier than ever to find nowadays on podcasts and YouTubes and audiobooks and Netflix and whatever. And we always say, find that person and then obviously, heading their direction and learn from them. And Rob, that was exactly what you'd do. You'd found an inspiration. And then you'd taken that on board, you resonated with it, and then you went in that direction, and it was just brilliant to see.
And I want to touch on what we were working on yesterday as a team. So yeah, fresh in our minds. And Rob, you're talking about that progression and how you improve. And often people's barrier to entry when doing anything, let alone podcasts, can be looking at the best out there and thinking, well, I'm never going to get to 2 million subscribers. They're so far ahead. But what we picked up yesterday is that you've got an advantage starting from scratch now, is because if you look at somebody who's the best in your field, you can be pretty much guaranteed that your first episode now can be better than their first episode. And that's an incredible thing to consider, because software can be better. Your equipment can be better than what they used. So you can have a stronger start than what they had. Yes, they can be 8 years, 10 years ahead, and that's going to take some catching up, of course. But your first episode, your first example of work, your first body of work can be better and stronger than your heroes, your inspiration's very first piece of work. And I think that's something really important to consider to people, to our viewers and listeners out there. Gem, success story. What speaks?
For me,
yeah.
There's just an overarching feeling of serious pride.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like Phil was saying earlier, I can only but echo what everyone said, really, that we've started something that has become huge for us right at the beginning of the pandemic. We've been talking about it for a year, and it was just, let's just run, let's just go with it. And the way that we just kind of had to down tools. I mean, do you all remember on the 17th of March last year, the day we all left the office? We did it in an hour. It was like all panic stations go, throwing things in the back of Beth's car, and we've gone from that whole, right, my office is set up and the excitement of it, to all the peaks and troughs of the pandemic, and look what we've achieved. I couldn't be prouder. It's just this incredible feeling. Makes me feel all warm and fuzzy because we've overcome so much, and we've just, every single pitfall, any bit where there was ever something that we needed to learn more, each individual has just gone away and done their part. And the way we've come together as a team, it's just incredible, really, to look back and reflect on and think how far we've come. And it just shows you what you can achieve when you really set your mind to it, and no matter what gets thrown at you. And the real strength as a team is something that I couldn't be prouder of.
Well, and based off that, Gem, if we share with our audience from a business, a team, an individual point of view, is that when the pandemic hit, we decided to pivot and go all guns blazing. And that provided lots of energy, super focus and drive. And we were working till sometimes 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and by doing so, and then learning the next time, you don't need to be up till 2 or 3 a.m. So it's so our learning was very clear. So we were super structured and driven from early days. But then, of course, lockdowns came, and the impact on mental health and home life, and then the back end of the year, we went then completely the opposite, and we took our foot off the gas and just gave some breathing space to kind of finish that year and have some time, some value time and thinking space. And now we've hit the year, and we've kind of found a sweet spot in that we have superstructure where the start of our day, 8:50 a.m. till 12 at least, is guaranteed. That's set. And then our hours are made up flexibly outside of that over a course of 7 days. So what that means is then people can go for a long walk in the daylight, so they're not finishing at 5 or 6 o'clock, and then either going for a long walk that has an added benefit to mental health and clarity. So not going for a walk in the dark, or then often not going for a walk at all because you're like, well, I don't want to go out now. So we found this kind of sweet spot in having structure and accountability as team and individuals, but also that flexibility. And that flexibility works in a number of ways, with home life, homeschooling, exercise, fitness, headspace, all of that. So we've certainly gone through a journey. We've travelled through that to find a bit of a sweet spot right now. I want to touch on, based on that, was it a croissant and a cup of coffee that arrived in your lap, Phil?
Yeah, do you want to see it again?
Let's have a look at that.
Yeah, we got the croissant, and
That's an almond croissant, isn't it?
Yeah, from a well-known brand that's still doing takeaway.
Yeah, I might have to.
I think that naturally steers us into a different way of working. So I want us to explore and give our audience insight into working remotely, so working from home, and the pros and cons that we've experienced from that, from going into lockdown from March to present day. And I'm gonna point that towards Phil and Jem first, with having children and homeschooling and juggling and spinning far too many plates, and maybe none of them properly spinning around, and often all of them crashing around you.
I broke them all.
So let's first of all start that and give it. We've spoke to a number of guests on our podcast and covered homeschooling and parenting and structure and routine. And routine and structure has been the key element that's come across from all of our guests during the 1 to 70 episode. So just give us a bit of insight, guys, into what that has looked like from a working from home and family and kids point of view.
Yeah, I'm really interested in Jem's answer to this, because I don't know how she does it. So I want to hear this.
With great difficulty is the God's honest answer, Phil. It's been, oh my goodness, wow. There aren't really many words to describe it apart from ouch. It was a task, to say the least, particularly when it all kicked in last March. That was so tough, because working from home was new for all of us. And of course, being studio manager, I was mindful of the fact that I wanted to make sure the team were all okay. I had 2 kids sitting behind me in my dining room, because I hadn't done my office out then. It was loud. It was very disruptive, and focus was really difficult. But as we went along, we managed to get the routine into place. The girls started to learn, if I was in a meeting, they needed to just write the questions down and wait. And there was lots of toing and throwing, lots of very late nights to make the time difference up and to get it right. But then I look to now, as of course we had the period in September when they were at school for a bit, and we're back in lockdown. It's incredible, because the schools have just really stepped it up. My girls are on video calls all the time, so I don't hear from them. In fact, if I manage to have lunch with them, it's a blessing, because even that's not happening, because I'm just finishing my French off. I don't even know who they are. It's not what I got earlier last year. That's for sure. But it's just about finding some sort of balance amidst chaos, isn't it, really? I don't think, like you were saying earlier about the plates, I broke every single one of them repeatedly. But I had some real wins as well as the downtimes. And for me, I just had to draw positives from the small wins and reiterate that with the girls when we'd sit down for dinner together, and finding those little moments we'd sit and play a game afterwards. And they were the bits that were our saviour, because with children, you only need to give them a very short window of time, little and often, for them to then feel the nurture they need, the love they need, the support. So then everything else felt okay, because there was a lot of guilt, because I couldn't just go, guys, I'm not working today, I'm going to go homeschool. For me as a single parent, that wasn't an option. So there was a huge amount of guilt feelings there. But we were just open and honest and spoke openly about it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it had a huge effect on them, because we're open as a family. I think if I hadn't broached that with them, their feelings and reactions and the way they behaved would have been very different. But it's always just been the 3 of us, so we've got a great relationship and a great strength as a team there.
Do you look back at that period of time positively or negatively?
A bit of both. A lot of it is positive, because I'm really proud of myself that we managed to get through that with it just being the 3 of us. The negative side is that mum guilt. That's huge for me. And as a single parent, you tend to feel that a lot anyway, because you can never be all encompassing. You can't be everything at once. It's not possible. You make yourself ill. And my mental health wasn't in the strongest of places at times last year. So I'm very acutely aware that I wasn't my best for them and for myself, on a number of occasions. But I'm all right with that now, because who has been okay throughout all of this the whole time? Nobody. And I'm human. So mostly positive, maybe 90%, 10% of the negativity, but that's always going to be there, because as a parent, I think it always is, isn't it? There's always that, could I have been better? Could I have done more? But I know I did my best. And for me, that's enough. And for them, that's more than enough. I was the best I could be under really rough circumstances. And I think that's why, for me, there's just a massive overarching feeling of pride for the whole of last year, because no matter what it threw at us, I'm still here, and we're all in one piece, and no one's had COVID. Yay.
Yeah. Well, this is the first time I've seen you this year, and you're looking really, really well. So is this lockdown different to the last one for you then?
Oh gosh, well, compared to the way that schooling's been, yes, it's very different because, like I said earlier, there's a monstrous sense of structure. It's incredible, which has released a lot of pressure from me. I can really focus on my work and my job now, and making sure that I just do the nice things with the girls now, which is great. I don't feel like I'm trying to be teacher and do the fun bits and mum, and it doesn't feel right doing it all under one roof. But then mentally, because it's colder this time round, it's always raining. It is now. It's darker. I'm struggling the most I think I ever have, but I'm dealing with it the best I've ever dealt with it because I've learned from previous. So I've always been an emotionally involved person. So that's how I deal with things. So I know how to manage it now, whereas last year it just hit me like a ton of bricks. So I'm glad you think I look better because I definitely feel better than I usually do for the most part. But you just get on with it, don't you? Mm. I think you can't let it beat you down. You just have to take it a day at a time. And that's been the best way to cope with this for me. It's just one step at a time. And you just keep going, don't you? I mean, I'm sure you'll be able to mirror that with the whole, I mean, you've got 3, I've only got 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously you try and take the pressure off yourself. I think the first time round, I think we all thought that we could be superhuman and just like we can do everything, and we can be parent, we can be partner, we can be teacher, we can be friend, we can be employee, manager. You know, we can wear all these, and we can do it all from the same room. Yeah, and that's. The human psyche just doesn't work that way, you know, and so I think certainly this time round, it's really fortunate that Kerry's she's more or less sort of closed off to the salons and to the businesses and things, and she's just purely focused on the kids and the homeschooling, and then I'm able to sort of like dip in that as almost like the support teacher. So I get to take PE kind of thing and just mess around in geography, and she takes all the serious core subjects and everything. But
you want no Wicks leading PE though. Come on, be honest.
I can't handle any more Joe Wicks. I can't handle any more. She's just doing an incredible job, and so it's a completely different makeup this time round than it was last time. We spoke about it many times on the show, where we had guests in that were parents, and we spoke about it, and we spoke about the conflict, the guilt, exactly like you say, Gemma. And I think that's worse for mum than it is for dad. That guilt, and because you've got the work pressure and the parent pressure, and it's just like, so yeah. Hats off to all mums that are going through that in particular.
Indeed, absolutely. And Rob and Beth, if you can kind of give an overview of working remotely and how that was initially, and then a little bit of the journey throughout, because we've all had our ups and downs and found it challenging at times and supported each other at others. And so how has that looked for you guys?
Yeah, well, I think it has 100% been a journey. Like, there's no other way to describe kind of the way that we started working from home versus where we are now. So obviously at the start we were kind of like on the Zoom calls a lot, and we had like structured hours, and it was kind of like trying to mimic being in the office without being in the office. And I think we all came to realize that wasn't going to work, because, you know, you can't have office life at home. It doesn't work that way. Versus now, you know, like you were saying about we're all working flexibly. I can sit in here on my laptop, or I can sit upstairs at my desk. Like, I have a lot more flexibility, obviously, as much as you can when you can't leave the house. I think that journey has just been massive. Like Gemma was saying, like mental health at the start, at first it was all really new and exciting, and then it slowly got like really serious and really scary, and then it just wasn't fun anymore. And I think that translated a lot into how we were feeling at work, and then being able to kind of stop a little bit at the end of last year and reset to now. And now the way we're working, it doesn't feel intrusive into like your home life, even though it is all under one roof. The way we do it just feels so much better. So yeah, I think, and especially like you were saying about like the exercise side of things, in summer it wasn't bad because at 5 o'clock you could go on a nice long walk and it was nice weather and it was light. But then with it being dark now at 5 p.m, you don't want to be going out walking in the woods and stuff, do you? So being able to do that in the middle of the day as well definitely helps. I personally found this lockdown so far easier than the last one. I don't really know why. I think maybe just because of the way we're working is just such a big deal and so different. But yeah, that's how I feel about it all.
I love that. And how much do you think is at play that it's to say, well, a new year. Well, it's a new year, a new you. That's our January theme and topic. And how much do you think is at play where, I mean, psychologically, you've got a clean slate, a fresh start with a year ahead. Has that had anything to play with just a different feeling right now?
Maybe a little. I'm always a big kind of lover of the new year. Like, I love the idea of a clean slate. And I think 2020 versus 2021 was kind of a bit of a grey area because, everyone was saying it's going to be no different, nothing's going to change, you can't reach your goals, you can't do this and do that. But then I think, like we were saying in work, we've made such a big shift from December 2020, just coming back in January 2021, it's so different that that's almost satisfied the need for something to be different in the new year. So yeah, I think maybe a little bit it's impacted how I feel, but I think more the fact that we've actually taken the action to make that different as opposed to just psychologically feeling like it's different is what's been the real game changer.
And before we go to Rob, I'm just kind of, when I look at that, I almost don't remember January, February of 2020. It's just like almost, I remember zero about that apart from just, I know I was working, but it doesn't seem like my memory, my earliest memory of 2020 seems like when the pandemic hit. And then we started the podcast and we really switched and pivoted. I mean, can anybody else relate to that, or do you have better memories than me?
I can remember what happened, but I can definitely relate. March feels like that was the beginning of 2020, doesn't it? But I suppose because in comparison, January and February were a breeze, funnily enough. So there's not the focus there, is there? And the quiet months as well. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't anything memorable.
I joined PINQ in January.
Sorry, Rob.
It wasn't quiet. I joined in January, didn't I? I joined PINQ.
Yeah, and
just forget about me.
You've been here forever, Rob.
Normally, but the thing is, Rob, normally that would be significant, but you were swooning around wanting to be part of it for so long. It wasn't like just out of the blue, was it? You were, no, absolutely. Of course, remember you joining, Robbie. But yeah, Phil, you were about to say something there?
No, I was about to say, very beginning of March, because it's like the last photos on my phone before the salon won Salon of the Year.
Oh my goodness, that was last year.
I know.
Yes,
and there's so many bits like that when you look at that January, February, those literally 8 weeks. It's like, how on earth have we forgotten about that? But
I like that little plug. That's DeLacy Hair and Beauty. Other salons are available.
No, there's no other salons available. DeLacySalons.co.uk. It's the only salon that exists now.
It's interesting though that you mentioned that, Phil, because for me that's the shift in my head. We went from the Hair and Beauty Awards to lockdown within the space of a couple of weeks. We were in a room with the thousands of people and coronavirus wasn't even a thing. Like, we didn't even really know anything about it. And then all of a sudden we're in lockdown. And whenever I think about us starting lockdown, I always think of the Hair and Beauty Awards. I just think of being in that room and then being in the house on my own. Like that shift is...
It was a contrast.
Wasn't it? Because it was the weekend before, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because they just started talking about like closing down other large gatherings and things, and it's probably the same for you two as well. It's the last time I had a night out.
Yeah, me too.
It's the last time I was comfortable to be in a group of people queuing at the bar, drinking and things like that. It's nearly a year ago.
Good job. It was pretty memorable, eh?
Yeah.
And Rob, last but not least, when it comes to working remotely, because I know you found it difficult early days to adjust, and we've spoken about how you consider your home environment as a sanctuary, and to then have that sanctuary interrupted and then become a working space. And as a result of that adjustment and struggling with that you felt there was a lack of focus and being true to the cause in terms of work. Can you give us a bit of insight into that?
Yeah, so when we first started working from home, it was a massive struggle for me because I've always considered my home as my sanctuary and not a working environment. This is where I chill out and forget about everything. So bringing work into my home life was a big struggle because I've got people in the house all the time. and because they think that I'm home, I can do all this other stuff as well. And it was just that adjust of being like, yeah, I need to switch it from, yeah, I'm not actually just pretend I'm not home at the moment. I'm actually at the office. but yeah, it was a really big struggle, and it's taken me a long time to adjust to working from home and being fully comfortable with it and being fully on the ball with it, compared to being in an office environment where everybody's looking over your shoulder, where they're making sure that you're doing actual work. While at home, it's like you're the only person you can keep accountable for. So it was a massive struggle, and it took a very long time to get there. But I was saying to you earlier today, James, when we had a little breakout room, I was saying to you about how over the holidays I've been having a proper rethink of my viewpoint of work, and stop thinking that, like, fully stop thinking that when I'm at home working, this is my sanctuary still. Instead, pivoting it towards that work is work now, and you need to be focused no matter what. And when somebody comes walking by, you can't have a quick chat with them. You just have to pretend that they're just a stranger in a type of way. So yeah, it was a struggle, but I've definitely got there now.
Love that, and that's key, isn't it? It's often about perspective, and sometimes a shift in mindset. Even we've had guests on the show that struggled working from home, so they like make up a space or a spare room that's then their work environment, and just that entering and closing the door and that physical shift from the rest of the house is huge, and I think you can apply that in many different ways. Not necessarily, it doesn't need to be a physical shift. It's that mental shift, like you just said. It's about perspective, and you can struggle with it, or you can think, right, this is now what I need to do. I need to treat it in this way, and that can certainly help. And I think that leads us on really nicely when we've discussed about challenges of the past, essentially the past year, episodes 1 to 70, in our journey within that, and a number of points have come through when it comes to mental health, and I want us to give our audience some key points that we find has helped us along the way when it comes to mental health, because essentially, along the way as a team, that's been at the forefront of what we do and how we do it. And if we're not keeping ourselves in check, supporting each other when it comes to mental health, then nothing else is going to work, right? We're going to be burnt out, we're not going to be productive, and everything's going to fall down. So when it comes to our journey from episode 1 to 70 and how we've operated that, what has been some key points that we can offer our audience when it comes to mental health? What have you implemented within yourselves, within your routines, any diets, exercise, anything like that our audience can look to adopt?
I almost want to just jump in and say that I think when I'm going to talk about things that have improved my mental health, it's things that I've been allowed to do by the way that we now work. So it's things that, if we were still working kind of the 9 to 5 and they're in one place all the time, I wouldn't have been able to implement a lot of the things that I have. So to any employers out there that are wanting ways to help their employees, take a leaf out of these guys' books, because they've, allowed us to work in a way that we've all discussed loads of times that's helped our mental health, and we had the discussions with them, and we all talked as a team about what we needed and stuff, and we were allowed that to happen. And I think as a business as well, the fact that we've done that, it hasn't had any negative effects. We've actually had more output, and we've been working harder and more invested in what we're doing by being allowed to do that. So I just wanted to put that out there first, that it's not just about, we could easily say go on a walk every day, do this, do that, but if you're not able to because of your working environment, then that's a really big factor, and we're so lucky that we are, and I think that's something that people should definitely think more about.
I couldn't agree more.
Awesome.
Just with that, it was very important. It was in September, I think it was, wasn't it? We came out of the first lockdown, and it was before anything else happened, and the figures and the numbers and everything globally were coming down, but we had quite a pivotal meeting where it was like, this isn't working, this is broken, and it was almost like the rule book was ripped up, wasn't it? It's like, right, okay, well, let's recraft it in a way that works, and I think we all needed that. we all needed to have that fresh look at what work actually, right? Rob, you touched on it as well. What work actually meant, what it meant inside us, what it meant to our environment, what it meant to our day, what it meant to the people around us, and recraft it in a way that was constructive and positive. And it was great that meeting happened, and that we're now on the other side of it, like with the benefits of it.
Well, that was, and I'll just inject that was a really crucial week that we had, and we came away from it with clarity, with a new sense of drive and passion. But let's not forget, then within the space of 10 days or even less, the rug was pulled from under us with those new plans and that newfound energy because of the rules and regulations within the UK. So therefore, we weren't able to implement our strategy that we were so proud of putting on the table and discussing and getting what was right for us as individuals and as a team. So yes, that was a real pivotal point, but then we weren't able to do what we set out to. So then that was another, and it was almost like, look, and we worked around that, and then our plan B then couldn't happen again. So
I think the point was, we got the fundamentals in place, didn't we?
Yes.
We knew it wasn't about 9 to 5 on Zoom, seeing everyone's faces and it wasn't about that. That was, we made the mistake in the first version that's the same as being in the studio, because you can look around the studio and see people. So that's the same. And it is absolutely not the same.
I want to interject there, because I don't think it was a mistake that we did that, because we knew no different. So to learn that it didn't work, we had to try it. And I think that was the best way we could have approached it, because we didn't know what else to do. And I think that had we not gone through that process, we wouldn't be where we are now. And I think that's the really important thing. I mean, I can echo what Beth was saying. It's being heard when you're in a struggle is so vitally important. And the fact that happened and the whole journey to get there it's so important that we've done that, and look where we are now. And we wouldn't be here. I really, truly believe we wouldn't be here if we hadn't gone through the motions first. You know, I think that, for me, that's the bit you only learn through trial and error, don't you?
Yeah, and the advice that Beth alluded to for employers and business owners out there is to test. You know, don't be afraid to shake things up and to test a number of ways of working. I mean, in 2020, the new normal, or the new normal ways of living and working was used a lot. And I think Jem Gibson, on a recent episode that we've just recorded, yet to be released, says that she's not using that term anymore. 2021 isn't that, because this is what we're dealing with now. It's not this new normal, because things may never be normal again. And it's how you test around that. And you can't get to a point of success without some friction and some risk. So don't be afraid. You know, no matter what size of team you have, don't be afraid to lose some team members, because the right team members, the right talent members, should I say, will stick with you. You know, under tough times. So that's certainly what I would encourage out there, for sure. What is, when we look towards, so we're covering episodes 1 to 70, and we're constantly shifting and shaking things up with the business lockdown. Looking at the year ahead, what kind of, I mean, you touched on somebody that we're working with that's incredibly exciting. Outside of that individual and that new podcast, looking to the year ahead, what excites you? What do you see as a real positive ahead? Certainly now we've got 2020 behind us. And look, and it's fair to say it's very difficult to plan. You know, we're covering this a lot, and people's short-term, medium goals. We spoke with Gav Cook and Jackson White, you know, and a few others, that their goal setting has just come a bit closer. You know, so rather than somebody say, well, you can't plan for the year ahead. Who knows what's going to happen? But there's a lot. There's just moving those dates and those time frames closer. Is what when you think of the year ahead for us guys, what kind of excites you? What drives you moving forward?
From my point of view, I work obviously more on strategy, and I think that podcasting has naturally evolved over the past probably 15 years now, to where it is, and it's not in its finished form as an industry. It's not in its finished form with regards to the monetization, the marketing, how you listen to it, and also how you create. And as technology evolves faster and faster and faster, I think this year in particular we're going to see some brand new players in the tech side of podcasting come through and become the leaders, and to properly own those parts of the industry. And so to spot those and to look at them and to be able to use them, I'm looking forward to seeing how that evolves. Like, for example, right now Clubhouse is taking off, and people are using it to record podcasts because they've got a live audience, and that hasn't been done before. That way of working, it would be people doing a seminar and recording it and using it as a podcast. But to actually intentionally record a podcast with a live audience, there's a lot of big players moving into that space now, and to see how that evolves along with others, that's I'm looking forward to seeing what that does for how we work and how we advise clients.
Love that. Guys, open the floor.
I'm looking forward to us growing. I think with TBLD and the people that we work with, obviously we're going to have some massive growth with some of them clients. But also, like with TBLD, I think we have so much value to give. Even, episode 1 to 70 alone, the amount of value you can get from them episodes. And I'm just excited to share that with more people. I'm excited to bring more people into our community and just help more people kind of get through lockdown 2.0. I'm really excited just for the growth and everything that's going to come.
Love it. Jem?
For me, it's definitely got to be some of the things we've got in the pipeline. And again, I don't want to say too much, but the thought really excites me. We've worked really, really hard on some incredible strategy, and just seeing that real graft, that real grit and determination that's gone into that, those blood, sweat and tears come into fruition throughout the next 12 months. It's going to be really rewarding, and it really, really is exciting. And coupled with, like, Beth was saying, just seeing the growth, it's a great feeling, especially off the back of last year. I just feel like there's so much potential for an overwhelming amount of positivity in such a great, healthy way. Yeah, it's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling.
And the important point to get across there is that when you're excited about growth, it's important to make sure that you're checking in on what that growth looks like, because you can easily get a third, a quarter of the year in, and you're doing a lot of work, but do you it's like know your figures, know your stats, so you can check in on that growth level, so you can celebrate the growth, but you can also then be better prepared to explore how you increase that moving forward. So yeah, absolutely agree with that. Rob?
So I've got a bit of a different take than everybody. For me, it's moving out and putting myself in a new environment, putting myself in a new headspace, new environment, and being a lot healthier and a lot happier mentally because of it. And I believe that taking that to work is going to improve things so much more better, and it's going to make everything better overall. But yeah, so it's a bit different to everybody else's.
No, I love that. That's absolutely valuable, mate. And look, your environment can play a huge part to a success, but likewise, it can provide challenges that say aren't conducive to creativity or productivity when it comes to your working life. So yeah, fully agree on that. Guys, I want to finish.
Sorry, before you finish, James, how about you? What are you looking forward to this year?
Okay, interesting. I think kind of touching on what people have spoke about is that we've spent so much time, financial resources, blood, sweat and tears in 2020 that I'm just so confident that we will excel this year. And I'm really proud with that in mind, because there's so much uncertainty out there, and there are people losing their businesses and losing their jobs, which is just crippling. And for us to have such a high level of positivity, but we only have that because we've worked hard and we've tested and we've risked in a number of ways, personally, professionally, putting our name on the line along the way. And I'm just having that confidence that great things are going to happen. We are pivoting. We're currently working very hard on our online digital course, which we know is super scalable for us as a business. That in itself has provided an awesome level of focus and drive for the new year. And my kind of November, December, when we took our foot off the gas, was primarily filled with when there's so much uncertainty in your personal lives as a team. It was just like I was so driven to provide as much certainty and structure and drive in your professional lives as possible to make up the difference, when maybe at times that was lacking in 2020, maybe due to external factors. So I think I'm super proud. I know it's early days in 2021, but I'm super proud of how we've attacked the year with the tasks at play, and just that we are going to be launching a digital course, and once we launch that, we'll be better placed to launch the second. And essentially, those courses are to help people benefit through our trials and tribulations and successes and failures over our podcasting journey. So it's a real privilege to be able to help people this year when people need help. That's the thing. And businesses are wanting to build their audiences, to reach new audiences, and we know that we can help people do that. So I'm super proud, that as a whole for us as a business. And essentially, with that confidence brings that we will develop the team and grow the team, which is exciting. So there's so many offcuts, like offshoots, with that confidence and that pride that we are going to achieve so many great things. So, yeah. I guess that's an overview. I could go on. There was never going to be a one-word answer to that question, was there? But I like the fact. Yeah, I liked having to think about that. So, if it's been a shit year for many people, and if you guys out there can't take some positive from it, I mean, there are positives to take, and we talked about perspective and mindset. And if you're failing right now in many ways to find a positive, to grab hold of something, to drive in 2021, it's not that it's out there. It's just that you may not have found it yet. So please keep trying. Like I urge you, and we as a team, I'm sure, urge people to drive and look at opportunities. And if you don't know what route to go down and you're just stuck there kind of bumbling along, choose something, because by choosing something, it may be the wrong path, but at least by going down that path, you're open to more opportunities that may steer you into areas of success. So just take action. We spoke about episode 1 being the most important, and that certainly relates to taking action, whatever that is, in any area of your personal or professional life. And so I'll get off my soapbox right now, and I'll ask the final question to you all. Based on our area of expertise, what's the one piece of advice that you can promote and give to our audience to benefit in 2021? So when it comes to who we are and what we do, so people who are thinking of starting a podcast or who may be in their infancy of their podcasting journey, from your area of expertise, what would you advise for someone to, like, a real easy tip or trick that they can action and benefit from? Ooh, there we go.
So straight away, in anything in life, the easiest person to cheat is yourself. So find someone who you do not want to let down and hold yourself accountable to them. And it can be a child, a partner, a parent, a business acquaintance, someone you've never met, but you've connected with them on Facebook or something like that, and hold yourself accountable to them. Have an accountability partner in whatever you want to do, and don't let them down.
Rob, and I expect after that, like, a post edit of some kind of like fire or like like a trumpet or something. That was awesome, Phil. We need something buzzing on that, like that. Accountability part. Yeah, hold yourself. We've spoke about having a purpose and accountability. Like, if you haven't got a reason to get out of bed in the morning, like, search and find that. That's absolutely the first thing you can do, on a daily basis. I love that accountability partner, Phil. Fully agree. Rob?
For me, templates. Always have templates for your work. It will help you massively when it comes to making a new episode. Having something already there that exists that you can just be like, all right, all that stuff is already done. Don't need to worry about it. Just need to put the new stuff into it. So yeah, definitely templates. It will make your life 10,000 times easier.
And psychologically, just when you go to start a new task and you know that you've already got the template there.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Nice. Beth?
Yeah, so I'd say, and this is strange coming from me, but do your research. So we all know that I'm not the biggest fan of doing the research. That's Gemma's bag. So I'd say do your research, but don't overthink it. So, if you're going to make a podcast, listen to other podcasts that are in a similar genre as you. Look at their icons, their thumbnails, look at what they're putting out on social media, look at the channel art on YouTube. Just kind of look at everything and get a really good idea of what's out there and what you can do. So when you come to do your own, you've got a really good grip on that. I think that's the biggest piece of advice I can.
Nice. Fantastic. Cannot disagree with that, Beth. We explore that a lot, don't we? It's like there's people are out there doing what you want to do in a way that you can only dream of. So find them and be inspired from them. And again, if you do that with 5-10 different people, different podcast channels, you'll pull very different things from each one, and then put your own stamp on that for your podcasting journey. Love that. And Gem?
For me, the biggest piece of advice I can give is to be structured and methodical in what you do. It's great producing a podcast and being a part of something that can inspire others, but there's a lot that goes into the process. So sometimes that can feel overwhelming, but if you're really organized and have lists and systems in place that ensure that it runs smoothly, it doesn't feel arduous and it doesn't feel stressful, because you know the order in which things need to occur to make sure that your end result is exactly what you want and turns out the right way and the best it can possibly be. And again, reiterating what Beth said, don't overthink it. You could spend weeks getting a podcast to its perfect entity.
A year, Phil.
Yeah.
A year each.
You can spend a year each and not even start your podcast, can't you, Phil? I mean, that sounds alien to me, but I do know people do that.
But without spending a year on it, you can definitely overthink it. Don't get stuck in the procrastination stage. If you've got your systems in place first, it keeps you organised, it keeps everything flowing and keeps that momentum up, because momentum's so important when you're producing podcasts. And enjoy it. It's so much fun. Just let yourself love it and enjoy the process. We've managed it. You can. It's great.
There we go. Love that. Well, I mean, my piece to finish off with, based on that, would be just to make a start. That's the ultimate. Make a start, and allow yourself to forgive yourself that an understanding that episode 1 won't essentially be as good as episode 10. But you're never going to get to that quality and that level of expertise of episode 10 and 20 and 70, where we find ourselves at, without that episode number 1. And it's essentially the most important episode you'll ever record, really. So it's just to make that start, and allow yourself to be shit at it. That's the thing, isn't it? To be vulnerable, which we've spoke about a number of times. So. Awesome, guys. I'm super pleased, super proud to have you on the show today. You deserve it. I mean, you work very hard on this across all of the episodes. We couldn't do it without you. And Phil, I speak for both Phil and I, that we're super proud of you guys and what you do on not only a daily basis, but an hourly basis. And you work across 7 days a week. And you have that inner drive. It's not about a pay packet. It's an inner drive that is that can be rare to find. So thank you all for being absolutely awesome, and it's incredibly exciting to think of what we're going to achieve from in 2021 on the business lockdown within PINQ and our other platforms that and channels we're about to launch. So thank you, guys. Rob, that's where you put in a some more fireworks and trumpets.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Awesome,
but
guys.
thank you guys, and thank you James as well for steering the ship so well for us all.
I'll take that. I will take that. Thank you very much. That's a lot of positive shizzle today, folks. So, and I know our audience will have taken an incredible amount of value from this. And it goes without saying, get in touch if anybody has any questions. We are not short of connecting with a variety of people behind the scenes, spending a lot of time on one-to-ones, mentoring, coaching, and just sharing our experience and value for the greater good for others to benefit from. So please get in touch with us. hello@wearepink, and you can also find us at wearepink.com, and that's pink with a Q, just to mix it up a bit and to be a bit confusing. We love that. So thank you to all of our listeners and our viewers. Stay with us in 2021. We are upping our game. We are always going to be better episode upon episode. And once again, thank you to you guys as our team. We are incredibly grateful. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Business Lockdown.
Please comment, like, share, and subscribe to help build our global community.
We look forward to seeing you all soon.